I can take some advice from somebody that's single, someone who can keep a man. I really don't understand why you have to listen to your friends. Just he say and she say, why we can't work it out our way. Guess you said you was fed up, cause I was on a whole nother level. Thought we'd be together forever and ever and ever. Guess not now. I done made up my mind, my mind, my mind. Figured this was a waste of time. Hold up, wait a minute. Before you get to lying and start pointing fingers. You was the one out here running around like a single.
Hello, and welcome to Conversations with Reverend G. I am Reverend Grenetta Mason, aka Reverend G, and I'm here every Monday night on WEMS Radio from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m., bringing you spiritual conversations, conversations about current events, all different types of conversations that hopefully will inspire you and that will support you. The reason I'm here is to leave you with a message of how can you find some joy in your life. And right now there's so much going on that I find myself using every spiritual practice that I have and just looking for ways all the time to stay in touch with how I'm feeling, checking in on my emotions, checking in on my mental health, because so much is going on. So, in these conversations, I bring different people from different backgrounds, different careers, doing a lot of different things in life. And from them, as we hear their stories, sometimes we're inspired to use some of the things that have supported them in being successful, some of the spiritual practices that people have talked about on the show have really been inspiring. And as I talk to a lot of different people, I find that it's very personal. One thing about the show that I want to help support you in getting to a space where spirituality is just a natural part of your life. Want to bring it down to where you use it every day. How can you relate to it? So this show is about supporting you during this time, helping you put together your spiritual toolkit, and just being inspired to live through everything we're going through. Tonight, my guest is Kioma Walcourt, and she'll pronounce her name for you because I know her as Kioma. She is the founder of Next Vanity Salon. She is a master stylist and a visionary. I'm excited to have her here. I've spent a lot of time with her as a stylist. You know, you spend a lot of time talking about a lot of different things. So tonight, we're going to talk about the current COVID situation, how we're handling it, business, being an artist at this time, how are teenagers dealing with this. So what I'm going to do is bring in Kioma, and she'll introduce herself. Come on in, Kioma, and introduce yourself. Hello. Hi. Yeah, your mute button is on. Right at the bottom on the microphone. See it at the bottom of the screen on the microphone. This says mute. You have to turn that off because I can't hear you. Okay, there you are. Let me hear you talk.
Hey.
Okay, speak up because it's
Sorry.
low.
Oh, is it low?
Speak up a little bit. Turn your
Okay, I got you.
microphone up so that we can hear you. the volume.
That microphone is up.
Yeah, there's more. It seems a little louder.
Um, I'm sorry, I'm using my daughter's computer. So let's see.
So you're on the,
Now,
what about the microphone
Naomi,
on the volume using the audio settings on the Zoom? Try that volume.
is this all the way up, honey?
Oh, okay, I can hear you
Yes.
better now.
Can you make sure it's all the way up for me?
Okay,
I'm going to ask the child to help me real quick. I want to make sure I can hear.
yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. It's pretty low though.
Okay, I can, and I can hear you clearer. You're coming in. So yeah, while we're getting the sound together, you know how the show must go on, and we will. I'll keep talking, and she'll get her little technician to help. Somebody to help her get the volume in. Just keep speaking, and we'll hear you at some point. Can you hear me?
Okay.
All
So
right.
can you hear me?
Now I can hear you. Yes. Do you
Perfect.
feel like you're
All right.
screaming?
No.
Okay, great. All right. So
Awesome.
welcome. Right. Um,
Hello, Granetta. How are
Hello.
you?
So I gave a little background, but I said you would introduce yourself and let people know who you are, and then we'll
Awesome.
move into the conversation. I have some things too. I know who you are, but I always let you introduce, and then I'll talk about the things.
Okay. Well, I'm Chioma. I am a mom, an entrepreneur, a stylist. Um, I own a salon in New York City. I live in New Jersey. Um, and we're gonna have a candid conversation today.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna have a candid conversation. So we want to like let's just jump right in, right?
Yep.
One of the things that I know that's on people's mind and it's important right now is the fact that you are a business owner. You do own a salon, right? And as we're
Right.
going through, what stage are you in? Can you talk a little bit about how you've dealt with the fact that, start with booming to closing, right? And then
Right.
coming
Right.
back. Can you take us through a little bit of how that's gone for you?
So, um, you want to know recent business, like since
Yeah, we could
Corona,
talk about
or
recent, right?
okay? So, I mean, everyone knows that New York was pretty much shut down March 20th, right? And so we have a brick and mortar business basically on 34th Street. They shut down restaurants, they shut down salons, they shut down gyms, and many other businesses. So we, like everyone else, um, had to close our doors indefinitely. Was is what
Mm,
we were told. So when you close things down like that, and people don't really know what's going on, you leave your business in a very vulnerable position where um, you are really unsure as to how you're going to be able to come back, and um, how you're going to be able to make people feel comfortable with coming back into the environment, and et cetera. Like, everyone has a different level of anxiety where this is involved. And that's, I
mm,
mean, really the biggest thing that I've learned from all of this, from the stylists that come in, to the clients, to the landlords who have to, have the biggest responsibility um, of ownership to these businesses and et cetera. And, we have not really had completely clear and direct leadership around this, which
Mm,
also makes it a little difficult
mm-hmm,
um, to be an owner. And again, from an owner, eh, from the viewpoint of the building owners,
mm-hmm,
um, to an owner from the viewpoint of the business owners that pay rent to these building owners,
mm-hmm,
to the clients that are coming in, and uncertainty in their jobs. And a lot of our clients are business owners as well, so you know they're coming from um, their own issues with their businesses or with their jobs, and they're also wondering, like, when is it the right time to come back into the city, to come back into hair
mm-hmm,
salons and gyms and restaurants and
mm-hmm,
etc.
mm-hmm.
So
It is
little by
hard.
little, New York has reopened,
Yeah.
and people are feeling more and more comfortable with coming back. But
Mm-hmm,
then it's hard because we're not operating at full capacity. No, none of the businesses in New York are. So we're operating at, let's say, a 20 to 25% capacity,
mm-hmm,
and we're expected to, still have 100% of the responsibilities, financially and otherwise. And in order to reopen safely, most businesses have to reinvest into the business.
mm-hmm,
So I don't know if anyone's um, looked at any uh, businesses in glass or plastic or plexiglass
mm-hmm. That
or
costs a
acrylic.
lot. Yeah,
Those are
right.
businesses that are really booming right now because
Mm-hmm,
anyone who's building these dividers,
mm-hmm,
um, and these, safety glass and safety plastic dividers, etc., are, definitely making their money right now, because those are the types of things that a lot of businesses have had to install
what
to
would
make
you
things
say?
safer.
Let me ask you a question here about um,
Sure.
as you talked about, you know, the levels of business owners. You talked about the landlord, and then you being the owner, and then there are the clients. So there are just so many different layers to all of this. Can you talk about some of the ways
Correct.
you dealt with all of this? What ways have you been able to manage each one of those aspects, right, and still stay alive because you're still open and a lot of people are not open, right? So what would you say is
Right.
supporting you in managing those relationships?
So it's layered. It's very much layered. There are so many different things. For
Mhm.
one, I am someone who myself, I have a pre-existing illness.
Okay.
So I'm someone who was already being very careful. I'm kind of a germaphobe. Um, and so I sprung into action right away. Like,
Mhm.
I know what types of things would make people comfortable, because those are the same things that would make me comfortable with, with going somewhere that I know has taken care of the air quality, that's taken care of, sanitizing,
Mhm.
that's taken care of, people really being distant from each other.
Mhm.
So those types of things, I definitely, I got in early and I took care of those things. And then as a business, you want to put it out there to your clients and to your vendors, et cetera, that you're doing these things, so
Mhm.
that they know that this is somewhere that they can go and be comfortable. So um, you want to send out notices to your clients and to your vendors. You want to get on top of your marketing and um, your social media, et cetera. That's really, I mean, probably the biggest thing for businesses right now, and probably the cheapest thing that you could do. to be quite honest, is social media and just putting it out there
Mhm.
that you're taking all these precautions so that people can feel safe coming back. Because it's really just building a level of comfortability for
Mm.
especially the clients to come back. Now, as far as the landlords go, I know I noticed that a lot of my friends that are artists, um, as soon as landlords started putting pressure on us, which was back in May,
Mhm.
um, to make sure that rent was paid up and things like that, they started fleeing
Mm.
their spaces. I
Mm.
know that I've looked at a lot of salon spaces in New York, and there are a lot of them, like
Mm.
a lot. The last number I heard was 169
Wow.
empty salon
Spaces.
spaces
Wow.
in New York
I
City.
wonder where all
There's
those
over
people are
100,000
too.
businesses in New York that have not returned and
Mhm.
are maybe will never return.
Right.
Um, there's a lot of pressure being put on small businesses by landlords. Some of them are being unethical in the way that they're
Mm.
pressuring these small businesses. And a lot of them don't know that it's actually not legal for landlords to put this type of pressure on them right now. And so they're just bailing on their businesses. They're leaving the furniture, they're leaving the equipment. Um, and they are just really abandoning a lot of these businesses and have no plans to return.
Mm.
So, specifically in the salon industry, what has happened is there are a lot of um, suite spaces that have, um, they would- they started coming up before the pandemic,
Mhm.
and our industry started moving into this uh, instead of the traditional salon where the floor is open and all the sinks are in the same room and all the jars are in the same room.
Mhm.
We've moved into this suite type of salon. I'm sure you've heard of some of them: the
Right. Where
parlor,
you have
beauty
your own
salon, solo
private
salon,
everything in your own
where you
booth,
have
like
like your own private
everything.
suite.
Right. Your own. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And that's where a lot of owners have moved into. A
Mm.
lot of owners have left their big traditional salons, left all the responsibility of all of the landlord and the electricity and the water and the internet and
Mm.
etc.
Just
And they're
gone.
just renting a suite, and
Mm.
they can go in and out and make sure your rent is paid, and
Mm.
that's it. And that's affordable for a salon owner.
Wow.
It's not really affordable for a stylist. It's not
Mm.
really affordable for someone that's like, a waxing technician or a nail tech. Most nail techs could not afford one of these suites. They're not, you know,
Mhm.
they are, I mean, I think they're really designed for owners because when you think about it, you are going to save in the amount of rent that you're paying for this big space.
What would you say
For
has
an individual
let me ask you, what would you say has sustained you? Because, as we look at all of the people fleeing and everything that's happening, you're still standing. Can you talk about what has kept you afloat and how you're still standing?
So, for one, I have a very strong clientele base. I mean, I've been doing this since I was a child.
Oh, oh,
Um,
okay.
about 6% of my clients fly in from other states.
Oh, okay.
So, that's it's always difficult whenever, we have any type of emergency or national disaster or pandemic. This is the first time we've ever had that. But,
Mhm,
um, so when 9/11 happened, when Hurricane Sandy happened, when this pandemic happened,
mhm,
those types of things will affect my business because I do have clients that fly in from other states, other countries. Um, so my clients, just aren't comfortable right now getting on a plane. most of them.
Mhm.
So that will affect my business. But my clients that are local, that are from, say Philadelphia or New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, those clients are coming in. So I, still have a pretty strong business. I still have pretty strong relationships with stylists. So um, any stylist who has local clients in the city or in New Jersey or any of the boroughs, they're still coming in. So we've been able to maintain definitely a much lighter version of Next
Mm,
Vanity, but
mhm.
um, it's still a pretty strong business.
I know that also in you do more than just the hair. You go to shoots, you do photography. And it's interesting to think about the photographer or the wardrobe stylist and all those people
Makeup
that
artist, etc.
are impacted by this whole
Yes.
pandemic, right?
You know, in fact, that is very interesting because I do weddings. Um, I do wigs for TV shows. I do work on promotional shoots for Broadway shows and concerts and et cetera, et cetera. Lots of different things in the entertainment industry, award shows, you name it. A lot of that is just starting to come back. The theater has not come back yet. They won't do anything on Broadway this year for the rest of this year. We probably won't see anything on Broadway until maybe February,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even later than that. I'm not sure, but they're not opening up Broadway yet, so that's shut down. I actually have a wedding to do coming up, surprisingly.
Mm-hmm.
So people are still getting married, so
Right.
that's wonderful. We love a good wedding, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not. It's a whole different ballgame. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the wedding will be outside. Everything is taking place outside from
Mm-hmm.
the wedding to the reception. Um, so everything is being done in open spaces where my bride's original plan was to have like a big wedding. It's now extremely, extremely small.
Mm-hmm.
So those types of things are changing. Even a normal set would have, you know, easily 20 people on a set,
Mm-hmm.
and it's now like three or four
Mm-hmm.
people on set. So
Mm-hmm.
I just, recently did a shoot, and it literally was the actress, myself, and the makeup artist, and that was it.
That was it.
Everyone else is on FaceTime or Zoom or, something
Mm-hmm.
else. I actually had a shoot where it was just me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was just
So
me and
really,
the
they
artist, and
they've cut it
the
down.
art
Really,
director was on FaceTime. You
a
know,
lot.
we did everything virtually, basically,
Mm-hmm.
except for the hair.
Right, right. It's
Yeah.
interesting that
So
everything is virtual now and everything is changing, and we have to learn how to do everything in such a different way. Even
you're
as we
so
go
right.
back, it's going to be different. So everybody
Absolutely.
has to get
It's going to
used
be very
to
different. But
using.
you can't get your hair done
I,
virtually. I mean,
there's no
you
way, right?
can't.
Can't get your
There's
hair
no way
done
to get your
virtually.
hair done
I
virtually.
know, and you know what? It's something I had a quote that you said I love that what I do is an essential part of how women feel about themselves, right? Hair is the root issue for all women, you say, so no matter what ethnicity. So you know that all conversations about hair are really
Yep.
conversations about your inner confidence. And that is the way you want to be in this world. I love that quote, right? It was just when you say you can't get your hair done virtually, right? And
You
it's
can't.
so important, right? That so
So
many people,
important.
you think about when we couldn't get from March till now, people really were trying to go to somebody's kitchen or doing their own hair or working through a lot of different ways of getting their hair done. And there were a lot of breakdowns, I'm
Right.
sure, right?
Even me.
Right,
Even me. Yeah.
right,
I mean, like when I wanted to cheer myself up
right.
because I was feeling, you know,
Mm-hmm.
a little down over the whole, you know, I'm like not working. I don't know what's happening. I'm listening to every report, watching the
Yeah.
news every day, which, could be very dangerous. Um, I did my hair. I was like, let me do my hair. It'll make me feel good. It'll
Yeah.
make me feel better.
Mm-hmm.
And it did.
Yeah.
You know, I did it. I was like, oh, now I can take some photos. Now I can get on Zoom. Like,
Just the
just makes you
thing,
feel
right?
better.
Also, you mentioned that you're a mom, right? Tell us about these beautiful kids that you have. And one of the things that's interesting for me, I haven't been around teenagers, and how are they dealing with this whole COVID situation? And how are you supporting them through it? And I know they're like a senior, a
Whew.
junior, and a sophomore. They're like,
Yes. So I have three
mhm,
children, two girls and a boy. My son is in the middle of these two beautiful girls, and um, this is a lot for them. I have to say, this is really a lot for them, and again, it's a lot that you could get into. But I have a senior in high school,
mhm,
and if you just remember your senior year, like
mhm,
I really feel bad for the kids that were seniors last year that have
mhm,
already gone through this and now they're, I don't know what they're doing with college and et cetera, but this changed everything for them. The things
mhm,
that they would normally be doing, um, it just changes everything.
mhm,
Those kids that graduated last year, they didn't have proms, they didn't have a senior trip.
mhm.
um, and when you're a kid, like, this is everything, right? Like,
Right.
your friends, you're leaving your friends, this is the
Mhm,
last year with your friends, and
mhm,
everyone has to stay distant from each other. And
mhm,
that has to be really hard.
mhm,
And just thinking about going away to a new school in this environment,
mhm,
having to still do well in school. There are kids that are athletes, like
mhm,
my kids all play sports, but they're not playing sports this year. And that,
right.
for some children, like one of my kids, that is really, that's how she, re-energizes.
Mm,
That's her version of therapy, is like
mm,
getting to work out and getting to really be active in sports.
mhm,
So to not have that, it's hard for some kids and definitely hard for mine.
mhm,
Doing classes virtually, like, you don't think about a teacher not seeing how eager you are to participate
mm,
because, you know, they're in a separate room, so they're not seeing you raising your hand because they have, you know, 15 to 20 other children on computer screens. Or,
mm.
I mean, it just, there's a lot.
Right.
Um,
Some things that I wouldn't
there's a
think
lot. It's
about,
hard.
Yeah,
Exactly.
right.
Exactly.
Being that the
And then,
virtual thing.
there are different types of children too. Like, if you're an introvert, you might be okay with, staying home and being in your room and going to class, but is it good for you? And then you
Mm-hmm.
might be an extrovert that, really you get your energy from other people. So this is like really draining, um, and really tough for you to not have that interaction that you would have in school. So it's tiring where it wouldn't be if you were, in an actual classroom.
What
or
kind
you
of
know,
things are you supporting your children with? Are there particular things that you're doing to support them through this time that
well,
you know?
I try to encourage them to still go about the same routines that they did when they were going to school physically. So,
Mhm.
you know, getting up, taking a shower, eating breakfast, things like
Mm,
that. You
mhm.
know, if you get up and you're still in your pajamas, you don't quite feel like, you know,
Not the
you've
same,
started
right?
a new day,
Right, right. Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
So just, you know, just trying to keep a routine of getting up and being active, I think is helpful and needed. Um, Trying to encourage them and really trying to teach them how to even give their teachers constructive criticism because
Mm,
we're all in this together, right?
right.
And we're all doing something very new to us.
Mm-hmm.
So some
Very
of
new.
these teachers and professors also need to know, like, well, this would be better if you A, B, C, and D,
Mm,
or this would be more effective if you did it
mm-hmm.
this way, or it would be really helpful if you X, Y, and Z.
Mm, okay.
um,
Okay.
you know, and just encouraging them because there are ages where they don't really. I mean, most teenagers
Mm-hmm.
don't want to have that type of uh, confrontation with
No.
a teacher.
Mm-mm. Right.
And it's not really confrontation, but just letting them know, like, you know, I really didn't get that today because
Mm,
I couldn't
mm-hmm.
hear the other students
Mm-hmm.
or, you know, anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And being ready to speak up if it
Mm-hmm.
will be helpful
Mm-hmm.
to you getting the information.
Mm-hmm.
And some kids are good at that and some kids aren't. But I think that children are learning to be better at that right now because they have to. Well,
You
hopefully they will,
know,
because
one of the things I
yeah.
talk about, one of the things that I want to bring forth to is about spiritual conversations, right? Spirituality. How does spirituality play a role in our lives, right? I don't have teenagers, and you do, right? So I thought it would be interesting. I don't think I've had anybody on the show where we talked about, you know, I mean, religion, spirituality, and teenagers, right? And how you incorporate that into their worlds, or do you?
So, so yes, we do. We are just as a family, um, just believe in being good people
Mm,
and just doing the right thing, even when no one's watching,
mm-hmm.
respecting each other. Did I lose you, Grenetta?
I'm here. I see you.
Oh, I thought I lost.
No, no,
I
no,
can't
I'm
see you
here.
anymore.
Ah,
Okay, I'm sorry.
I got it.
Oh, there you are. Um, yes, just you know, being good people and having integrity
Mm,
um, about pretty much everything that you do, the way that you treat each other, and just being really um, good citizens, you know, in the world.
mm-hmm.
So
It's about
we're
how they
that type
treat
of
people.
spiritual. We're not like we go to church every Sunday or
Mm-hmm.
um, we're not that type of family. I mean, we were raised Catholic,
Okay.
and um, yeah. So I mean, the belief here is just the. I hate to use the old biblical saying, "Do unto others as you would have um,
Well,
others
it's a
do unto
good
you." I
principle,
think that's
right?
kind of,
It works.
yeah,
Hmm.
that is kind of really what we follow.
So
Do
you
unto others.
and your husband, you guys, you say you grew up Catholic, and did the kids go to
Yes, we
Catholic
both did.
church and all that, or they started younger going to church? I know it's not about
They
going every Sunday, but were they
right.
right indoctrinated in Catholic religion from young kids?
They were, yes.
Right. Okay. And
Yeah, like
now they
baptized
right. Okay. Okay.
and now we kind of we have kind of allowed them to do their own thing.
Oh, okay.
Um, so like I have one of my kids who used to just read the Bible all the time on her own, um, which was nice. I mean, things come from different, like our both of our parents are like really like every week churchgoers. So whenever they're with
Mm,
their grandparents, they'll go to church or things like that. But I think for us, for the most part, it's about just being more spiritual and and kind of being in touch with our spiritual selves and it not really being about this building or
mhm, mhm,
about this particular um, it's not about Catholicism or or any particular they're in a non-denominational school, so they're
right.
learning about
Okay.
all
A
religions.
particular religion. It's not
um,
about a particular religion. It's about how you want to
right.
teach them to live in the world. And that is
Yes.
interesting. I think about I didn't get a choice until I left home, right, and went to college. Was when at that time it was like, oops, nah, I have a choice now, right? And it's interesting these days to see where they land when they have that choice, right? And I really think it's too all about
Right.
their environment and how you raise them and what you say to them and in the home, as a part of it.
Right.
So I think that's
Right. We were
interesting.
I mean, let me speak for myself. I was kind of forced
Yeah,
when I was a child
yeah,
to go to church
we all
and
were.
to participate in Sunday school, and my brothers were altar boys and all of that.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do that. I didn't
So
want to do
you
that
didn't
with
want to do
my
it.
children because I feel like I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought you said you didn't want,
Yeah,
but
I
you didn't
feel
want
like
to do it to your children, right?
no.
Mm,
I didn't want to do that because I feel like you could have the opposite effect and really turn
mm,
them completely
mm,
off, right?
mm-hmm,
Um, so you want them to come into it on their own a little bit.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Give
Like
them the room.
you
That's why I
guide
say
them.
give them the room to question. Give them to room to find a space where it works for them. Because if you do that, then they won't reject the whole thing, right? And then have to try to find their way back to something, right? To just support
Exactly.
them because I think that having some kind of spiritual
Exactly.
base
Exactly.
is really, 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 really necessary for all of us, right? And like for us, it was like go to church, go
Yeah.
to church, go to church. But now we can teach them something different. We don't have to force our kids to like go to church, go to church, go to church. We could teach them the principles of religion or
Yes.
spirituality. And I think that'll resonate more with these kids, right, than in our generation, you know.
It really
So
does.
yeah,
It
that
really
was
does.
that was
And
one of the
the other
things
thing
that
too is just the other thing too is just like it's your example. You know what I mean?
yeah.
That I think that's a really huge um part of just, of being that coach. I call it a coach.
Your coach, Coach
Like
Miles.
we're coaching our
Mm-hmm.
children, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we're doing it by example.
Mm-hmm.
So they're following everything that we do, the way that we speak, the way that we act. They're following. They're
Mm-hmm.
following us.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to be good examples for them. I
I,
think that's important.
earlier you had mentioned that you had a pre-existing condition, right? Uh, and so you had to take
Yes, I
it.
have lupus.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about how has there been an impact for you with this whole COVID and how you're doing throughout this, being a person with lupus? Because we see so many, you see different perspectives about how people are doing. Can you talk a little bit about how you're handling it during this time?
Absolutely. So I have an autoimmune disease called lupus. Um, the easiest way to describe it is it's basically my body fighting itself, right?
Mm,
I can get um, flare ups that are, it's basically inflammation. Inflammation may occur just like topically, like on my skin, or it could
mm,
be happening inside of
mm,
my body. It will cause your joints to hurt. It makes you extremely fatigued. Um, we get flare ups or lesions on our skin.
mm,
It's and the part that a lot of people don't talk about is the depression that will also come with it,
mm,
because you're, you these kind of um, unexplained illnesses that come up, it affects your vision, or it affects your, um, respiratory, or you may have hypertension, or you might have, you know, GERD, or,
mm.
just all of these, you know, reactions to foods and toxins, and it never stops, and it's unspeakable, and it's
Okay.
hard to explain, and people don't really get it, and there's not enough research done on it, and of course it affects mostly Black women. It's one of those
Mm,
things. So um so I'll let me speak for myself again. I will get a lot of allergic reactions to different things, some more debilitating than others. um I may, my sight could be affected, or my joints, um, or my energy was a
mm.
big one, because it will really zap all your energy, makes you extremely tired,
You work though.
and
I
just,
know you to work, work, work all the time. So something inside of you, right, is keeping you like going, going, going. I would not have known all of this in the experiences that I've had. I know you to just be a
yeah,
worker, always
I
working.
I have really, vowed to fight this tooth and
Mm-hmm.
nail. And I'm just someone who does not want to, like, I know I have it, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't really want to suffer from it, or
Mm.
I don't want to like succumb to it.
Okay.
So, I'm doing everything that I can naturally to keep my body as strong as I can.
Mm.
Um, I have completely changed my diet,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not easy,
Right.
but I've taken the more holistic approach to battling this. So I do not eat foods that, well, let me not say do not like that, like I'm like holier than thou,
You,
um,
right.
because I do have slip ups. I'm
Right.
human. But like if I had a, you know, if I could put a number on it, I would say I
Mhm.
try to stay about 95%. Um, you know, really committed to a diet that is healthy for my
Mhm.
body, for my skin, for my
Mhm.
organs, um, that do not cause inflammation and, um,
Diet is really,
foods
really
that are not
important, and I'm sure you
processed.
know,
And
like no processed food. Diet is one of the
yes,
most important
I know we talk about this all
parts.
the
We talk
time. Yeah,
about all the time. So, I wanted to
yeah. But it's
talk
like the
for a
hardest
moment.
thing for people to do, right?
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's one of the hardest things for people to
Yeah,
do.
it really is. People talk about it all the time as a challenge, but it's really a lifestyle change. And if you can change
Yes,
your lifestyle with the way you're eating, it's a lot better and it works. But it's like
absolutely.
we generally do it for a little while and then we'll stop, right? Do it for a little while and stop because we
Yep.
haven't incorporated it into our lives as a part of what we do. But some it's
Exactly.
hard because I like a lot of stuff, right? Like a lot of things
Me
that
too.
probably shouldn't
Me too.
eat, right? But what I wanted
Yes.
to get to as we get closer to our hour, we always talk about, I always like to talk about the spiritual toolkit, right? So I always like to ask my guests, what are your three go-to spiritual toolkit items? So, what things, when you find yourself just maybe needing some peace or a break, what would be the three spiritual things you would use?
So it's interesting that we just talked about diet because
Mhm.
for me, when I'm I just, this is, I know this is going to sound crazy, but when I'm like 100% with my diet, I
Mhm.
feel like everything else falls in place because
Mm.
that's when I'm the most disciplined with
Mm.
everything else.
Mm.
Because I mean, it's such a, it's not easy. Like I said, such a
Right.
difficult thing um, to really do.
Mhm.
Um, that I do feel like, I feel like when I'm 100% on my strongest, my mind is clear.
Mm.
Um, I could really kind of conquer anything.
Mm.
Just, the strongest and most powerful that I could be. I'm clear, you know, really
Mm.
clear. Um, so I just recently learned how to meditate,
Oh,
and that has
okay.
also been very helpful.
Okay.
That has been a very useful tool. Like, I don't know why I haven't been doing it like forever, but I just
Mm.
recently learned, probably in the past year, how to
Mhm.
like properly do it.
Mhm.
Um, and that's really great. So that's another tool. So I have the diet, then I have meditation, and the other thing is, which I guess is kind of related to the meditation, but I do feel like finding those times where I could just have quiet.
Mhm.
And I'm not talking about just like noise kind of quiet. I'm talking about like my brain being able to be quiet
Mhm.
and like not have any noise or fog or anything like that. Like those times that I could just take for myself
Mhm.
and, no talking and
Mhm.
no
Just
anything.
sometimes I talk about mindful moments, right? I call them
Yes,
mindful moments, right? And that's what it sounds like, a moment with yourself, right? Where it's just,
yes,
you don't necessarily have to meditate, but you're being
right.
with yourself in those moments, right? And
Yes.
I
Especially
like
right
that
now with
because
all of these things going on, there
mhm,
have definitely been those times where, we have to put everything in front of us. Like, okay, so what do we do with this?
Mhm.
And it's hard to make those decisions when there's so much noise.
Mhm.
There's so much
Mhm.
noise
Mhm.
around. So I feel
Mhm.
like, almost like I have to be like, um, almost like an athlete, like completely zoned in to
Mhm.
this specific task, and things have to be clear in order to tackle that.
Mhm.
You know, just really need quiet and clarity to.
Like contemplate or pull things together. You might sometimes, like meditation, they say clear your mind, but in a mindful moment, you can maybe work out a plan, right? Or take a moment
Yes.
to step back from everything. And in stepping back, you can get clearer, right? Or
Right.
I just love it because I was just thinking about the different things you can do in that moment when you step away. But I like what you said. It's just quiet. It's just you. And there's a difference between meditation and taking that moment that you would need.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I consider too that like there's so much going on in a day.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much going on, you know, in here
Mm-hmm.
between appointments and what are you going to eat and,
Mm-hmm.
commuting back and forth and
Right.
the kids and,
Mm-hmm.
you've got your extended family and all these things. And there are all of these things happening. And I think for moments at a time, there are those moments where it just needs to be like those departments need to get shut down
Right.
for a moment.
Right.
And
Exactly.
there
So
needs to
we
be a
are
focus
coming to
on clarity.
close to an end, and I always like to
That was
give a moment to
fast.
talk about what's important for you, anything you want to share, how you feeling about. Um, I always say that right now everybody's feeling a lot of different ways, right? And um, one of the things that I am finding lately is that mental health is important too. And because we don't always
Amen.
recognize it as a mental breakdown, right? We have to start right now. A lot of people are mentally uncomfortable, unstable, going through a lot, right? So
Stressed. Yes.
how do we support that? And I think spiritual tools can support that. I like, also when we talk about depression, it's bigger than that, right? People need to really get support, a lot of support around depression and mental health. So that's one of the things that I think is key that I'd like for people to look into. Check on your friends, we always say. Check on the people that you think are like really, really strong, right? Because something could be going on with them also.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I do want to just say quickly that for me, um, one of the things that we do every day in the salon is talk. I
Mm.
mean, we're literally talking all day, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
talk about health, we talk about diet, we talk about self-esteem. We talk about relationships.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about politics. We're talking about everything.
Mm.
So I do feel like part of what we do every day is therapeutic
Mm-hmm.
because there's a lot of that communication going on in the salon every single day that
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people don't get at work or at
Mm-hmm.
home because
Mm-hmm.
you're handling business, right,
Right.
all the time. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of our clients kind of they come in and they just like get to like let their shoulders down,
Mm.
and
So you
you
become
kind
a
of just
coach
like
therapist too, right?
casual. Yeah, no, really. And it is for me as well. You know,
Okay.
it's not a one-way thing. It's
Mm-hmm.
both ways.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, and it's a great combination of you're coming in, you are attacking something that is so connected to the way that you feel, then
Mm.
you're getting this accidental talk therapy happening.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
you put it all together as therapy. uh,
Right, right.
so that definitely happens every single day. I mean, you could pretty much talk to any of our clients and they will all tell you the same, that it's something they look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, you know, it's not like it's on our service menu or anything like that. It just happens. It happens. We've all known each other um, lots of years, and we can sit down and really just
Right,
exhale.
right.
And it's a safe space. It's always
Mm-hmm.
a safe space to talk about health as well as style, as
Mm-hmm.
well as, you know, current events, as well as personal, you know, and it's safe. Like it's a vault. It doesn't go anywhere. It's just like therapy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know we spend a lot of time there, so it's really a lot
Yeah.
of
You get
great
comfortable and take your shoes off.
conversation. Yes. So it was really, 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 really great having you on the show. And thank you for sharing with
Thank
everybody.
you for
And
having me.
I'll see you soon.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed this.
Cool. All right. Take care.
All right,
Thank you,
awesome. Have a good
everybody,
night.
for joining me tonight in Conversations with Reverend G. If you want to follow me, you can find me on Instagram as Rev Grenetta, on Facebook as Reverend Grenetta Briggs Mason, and also on YouTube as Reverend Grenetta Briggs Mason. So it's been exciting here today talking about the different aspects of how COVID is impacting everyone. And one thing that came to mind for me is mental health and how do we keep ourselves mentally stable and sane during this time. And I find myself all over the place sometimes, but I am using my spiritual practices and they are really supporting me. So today, for the mindful moment, I just wanted to quickly talk about creating a powerful affirmations. And affirmations can really support you in calming down. They can support you in changing the way you're feeling and changing your thoughts. So I would suggest during your mindful moments, say a powerful, powerful affirmation that supports you. It's Reverend G, and it's been so great having you. I'll see you again next Monday on WEMS Radio at 8 p.m. Have a great week and see you next week.